Happy Halloween.
It's spooky season.
It is spooky. If you're joining us on YouTube, you see a different layout.
It's a vibe, bro.
It is a little bit of a vibe.
It's a vibe.
Today, on this day of Halloween, we are going to be talking about, should Christians actually even celebrate Halloween or else?
I don't know.
I think we should find out.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Happy Halloween, folks.
Well, I don't know.
If you are in the YouTube land, it looks a little fuzzy, but it's probably because it's 720 instead of 1080.
Yeah, right.
Either way, it's spooky season, guys. We made it to Halloween. Time to get the candy. And the Kit Kat, the orange.
Of course, you'd go right for the candy.
Dude, that
Oh.
screen messes us up.
No, I don't like that. We're going back down. Oh, there it is.
There we go. That's better. We're back in our spooky season.
I just was trying to pull up our review
But
here.
dude, seriously though, bro, Halloween, like the orange Kit Kat and the orange Reese's, like that's where it's at. Except my tummy don't like that no more. So
right,
I gotta eat the Starburst and the Skittles and the sour Skittles.
Well,
and the Sprees.
What
and
do
the
you
gummy worms? The sour gummy worms. And the Jolly Ranchers.
You have a problem.
And the Now and Laters.
You have a problem.
Yeah, I do dad tax real bad at
So
Halloween.
the previous episode, you were talking about how, oh man, look, it ain't working the calories. And then now you're talking about candy, this candy, that candy, and dad texting. I'm like, well, that's your problem.
Now we know
bro.
why. Mark's brain is working to keep them calories down, but Mark's mouth ain't helping. That's more so what it is.
Well, we're not really drinking coffee today, Mark.
We're
or at least
not.
I'm not. I'm into the Waterloo, a cherry limeade. Yeah, it is cherry.
I wanted to make the sound because there's nothing better than a fresh crack. It ain't a cold one, guys. It's not beer either, but it just ain't cold. It's
Fresca.
It's warm Waterloo. But so apparently, wait. Let's back up. What Waterloo are you drinking?
I'm drinking the cherry limeade,
And I'm drinking the one that Janelle hates,
which I actually like. It's the blackberry one. But this is, that's
so cherry limeade. So this is the blackberry lemonade, which I have been pounding every day at work lately.
Yeah,
so
they're delicious.
Janelle, if you don't like these, you know where I live.
That's right.
You know where I live. I will drink these all day long. This is actually one of my summer hits.
Oh, is it?
The blackberry lemonade? Absolutely.
Nice.
Well, dude, so I know we have had a Halloween episode here on RTC. This is Halloween episode number 6. This is Halloween episode number 6.
Is it?
We've done some bonus ones. We've done some other ones, but because this is season 6, so this is Halloween episode number 6.
Right.
So
holy cow!
Let's go back 5 years ago, bro, to episode number 1. It's when we were first talking.
Mr. Brandon Socha.
Mr. Socha, where we talked
Mr.
about
Saucier.
Halloween and Reformation and how each of us kind of celebrate that as family. So I have 2 questions. Number 1 is, do you celebrate any different? And number 2, do you guys still go to Fazoli's?
All right, hang on a sec.
That's what I want to know. Do you still go to Fazoli's?
So let's see what we talked about first. So it doesn't even show. Oh, yeah. The Halloween episode was the very first episode
14.
we did. And then after that, we did, I think it was that one, right? The extraterrestrials?
Yep, extraterrestrials. That was a bonus one because we forgot.
Yep.
And so we recorded an extra one and went, boop.
And then we did, let's talk about horror films and haunted houses.
Yep, that was a good one.
Then we did Satan and his demons.
Yep.
And then we did Dead People Walking.
That one was dope. I did not know what to expect. And I will say, have you done like the last?
I did that one and that one.
And then I did that one and that one.
And
so far, guys.
And then that one was kind of a collab with Brandon
And
Socha.
the rivalry of Halloween episodes, Fuller's winning like 4-2 right now. 3-2.
What?
3-2 right now.
What?
So Fuller is winning the Halloween episode writing rivalry. And that's okay.
For now.
That's all right.
But we wanted to kind of jump back into and jump back into this conversation and really look at the history of where this, and I'll say Halloween holiday came from, because you know me,
Quotes, unquotes.
I don't technically celebrate this day.
I eat a crap load of candy.
You do, but
I don't celebrate Halloween. I celebrate free
try to
candy.
scoot up here.
I celebrate free candy. That's what I do.
Yeah. So, but let's take, we're going to talk about going back through some of the history of it and where it's believed to have come from, down to kind of where we are today, and then just getting some lighthearted conversation. And then I have like not just one Halloween fact. Oh, I've got several Halloween.
Do you really?
facts.
And you know what I'm most excited about for this?
What's that?
We're talking about the Celts and the Roman Empire. Dude, this is like a straight up bro episode.
That's right. But before we can do that,
we got to read the review.
You have to read the review.
I got it. So this review comes from Nick over in Idaho. I'm assuming Idaho Falls, 'cause I don't think there's any other city in Idaho, right? It's all potatoes over there, something like that. I don't know. But either way, this is from, and before you yell at me, his title is Greetings from the Land of Potatoes. So you can't be mad at me because he even called himself out for it. But this was left by Nick. He says, hey, Mark and Fuller, wanted to let y'all know you have a listener in Idaho.
There it is.
That's it.
Called it.
Told you. So, like many others desperate to find a good Christian podcast, I went to Spotify and searched Christian podcast, and yours was the first to come up.
Bing.
I was very thankful to find you guys because I mow yards for 10 hours a day for a living. Do you mow over potatoes, or is there more than potatoes in Idaho? Like, there's more than corn in Indiana.
Wow.
I'm just curious.
Canceled.
So,
wait, hang on. Oh, you got my sound off.
Try again. So most yards for 10 hours a day, and we'll usually listen to 5 to 7 episodes per mow. Per day for mowing. What are you about to do? What was that? It's been about 2 or 3 months now, and I've listened to 90% of your guys' podcast. I love how you bring a different perspective to every issue that people are afraid to talk about. You've actually changed my stance on quite a few issues. Bro, with the Facebook group, let us know what those are. Seriously. Just wanted to thank you. Say thank you for the time you put into this, and I would love to send y'all some coffee from Idaho.
Let's go.
Is it made with potatoes? Is it like potato coffee? Because we got like hazelnut coffee, we got like dark roast, we got Ethiopians. I got that potato coffee bean.
No.
That'd just be really funny. But either way, I'm done making fun. Nick, you can make fun of me.
No,
all
but
you
we
want
appreciate
for
you,
Indiana.
Nick. Good job for catching up.
But seriously, bro, so send us an email or send us a DM or a message. Let us know that you heard it. We'll send you a mini swag bag, and we'll give you your address to send us some coffee as well. So, and just like always, leave a rating and review where you listen to your podcast.
That is correct.
Love it. All right, Fuller, give us the history, because I'm going to shut up and listen.
Yeah, man, this is just a real laid-back conversation. We're going to, like I said, just kind of march through the history real fast, and then open it up for a little conversation there at the end, and yeah, just keep it kind of light and airy.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Light and airy.
Light and spooky airy.
Like light and eerie.
Ooh. That was noise. All right, let's go.
All right,
we are so hyped up.
So, the origin of Halloween. Everything starts really with the origin of Halloween and kind of where it came from, and we're going to progress into some other things. So, Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, or some people say Samhain, but it is actually pronounced Samhain. Did you know that?
You
did not.
What's really funny is I'm going to read that like a white person, but
Samhain.
So are white people, so I'm going to say it like an American. Samhain.
So the Celts.
So the festival is Samhain. Okay.
So the Celts. Nothing.
They're the Celts, the Celtic people, but they're the Celts. I was drinking my seltzer,
I know.
bro.
I was waiting for the correction. That's why I stopped and paused and looked at you.
That's funny.
So the Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. This day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of the year that was often associated with human death because it got cold and dark, and then people died in the cold.
Yep.
That's just why. So the Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that ghosts of the dead returned to Earth.
Which I'm like, where do people even get this idea from? That's what I want to know.
It's crazy. I wonder because that
they were on them shrooms?
No. Because I wonder if during the spreading of the gospel and hearing about how the dead would rise after Christ's resurrection, if like that rumor got spread around and kind of misconstrued and that ended up over in that area at some point. Wouldn't that be cool?
It could have been.
Maybe that's why they're like, maybe that's why it's blurred. I don't know.
I'm a dead man.
All speculation.
That's what they were thinking.
Anyways, in addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids or the Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For a people entirely dependent on the volatile, natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the long, dark winter. To commemorate the event, Druids built huge sacred bonfires when the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities.
And now we just going crazy.
During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening, from the sacred bonfire to help protect them from the coming winter. So that's what was going on with the Celts. So by
kind of spooky.
By 43, the Roman Empire had conquered the majority of the Celtic territory. In the course of the 400 years that they ruled the Celtic lands, 2 festivals of Roman origin were combined with the tradition of the Celtic celebration Samhain. The first was I can't even say this anymore. Feralia, thank you. A day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was the day to honor Pomona. Wow, I'm really struggling today. The Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and the incorporation of the celebration into Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween. So that's where we kind of go, 2,000 years ago up to 43 AD and beyond. And then fast forward in a few hundred years, we go into talking about a different type of holiday that took form, and that day is called All Saints' Day. So All Hallows Day or All Saints' Day, which happened November 1st, was celebrated on May 13th, 609, when Pope Boniface IV dedicated the Pantheon in Rome to the Virgin Mary. The date was later changed to November 1st by Pope Gregory III,
who I believe is Pope Gregory the Great, right?
I don't remember. But who dedicated a chapel in honor of the saints in the Vatican Basilica. In 837, Pope Gregory IV, who was the Pope from 1827 to 1844, ordered it church-wide observance. Its origin lies earlier in the common commemoration of Christian martyrs. What were we going to say?
Pope Gregory the First was Pope Gregory the Great. So I recant. Sorry.
Okay. Over time, these celebrations came to include not only the martyrs, but all saints. During Reformation, the Protestant churches came to understand saints in the New Testament usage as including all believers and reinterpreting the Feast of All Saints as a celebration of the unity of the entire church. So that brings us into fast-forwarding a little bit more into something called All Souls Day.
And before we get into that, when we say the unity of the entire church, we'll be talking about those who are both alive on earth and then alive with God, because
both.
God's the God of the living,
right?
Not the dead.
Right, exactly.
Cool.
So, and then we kind of transform into what's called All Souls Day. All Souls Day, or the Day of the Dead, is normally celebrated primarily by Roman Catholics on November 2nd. This is a day dedicated to prayer and almsgiving in memory of ancestors who have died. People pray for the souls of the dead in an effort to hasten their transition from purgatory to heaven by being purged and cleansed from their sins. So that's kind of the celebration of All Souls Day. So again, fast forwarding a few hundred more years.
Now, question though, when did when did All Souls Day first get celebrated in comparison to when they used to celebrate All Saints Day?
I think it was shortly after it was actually incorporated for All Saints Day. Okay. But they are actually 2 different days that are celebrated.
Okay.
So fast forward in a few more hundred years, we get into Reformation Day.
Nail them. That's a nice looking door. They look like they need some theses nailed to those.
So Reformation Day is October 31st, commemorates Luther's posting of the 95 Theses on the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg, Germany, on October 31st, 1517. This act triggered the Reformation, as they were immediately translated and distributed across Germany in a matter of weeks. The Protestant Reformation was the discovery of the doctrine of justification, that is, salvation by grace alone, Galatians chapter 2, verse 21, through faith alone in Christ alone. So this is kind of what we talked about.
Remember last episode, guys?
2 weeks ago?
Yep.
See how you're tying all this in? Yeah, it's almost like we planned it.
And
but
we ain't done yet.
It was also the protest against the corruption within the Roman Catholic Church. The century before the Reformation was marked by widespread dismay with the corruption of the leaders in the Roman Catholic Church and with its false doctrines, biblical literacy, and superstitions. Monks, priests, bishops, and popes in Rome taught on biblical doctrines like the selling of indulgences, the treasury of merit, purgatory, and salvation through good works.
Which, side note, did you know that the Catholic Church still does believe in indulgences? I learned that last night.
I did know that, actually.
Because I'm like, I thought those were part of what was in bygones. But I'm like, nope, they still do.
Yep,
it's not the same as what they used to be for indulgences. Right. But yeah.
So this kind of is a quick, brief history of Halloween and how it came through. And So me, myself, I don't celebrate Halloween for my own personal convictions. Mark and his family do, right?
Culturally, yeah.
So I wanted to keep it just a history and now get into kind of the discussion to kind of give you both sides of each opinion, right? Mm-hmm. Where we love each other. I don't say nothing against Mark for doing it. He don't say nothing against me for not doing it.
Nope.
But we can kind of give our point of view.
Fazoli's does sound kind of good.
It is good.
I'm not going to lie. Do you guys still go to Fazoli's, by the way?
We do.
Do you still? Okay.
We do. That's still a tradition
That's
of ours.
awesome.
So this leads me into the discussion that I kind of just want to give both sides. And like I said, this doesn't have to be long. It's real laid back. I figure people got things going on today. Mm-hmm. They don't want to sit here and listen to us go on for an hour and a half. So we'll just keep it a short episode. Make it nice and easy. Give your mouth a break from the last episode leading into the next episode. Yep. Anyway, so first question I have that we can discuss is, because there's a connection to pagan beliefs, should we refrain from celebrating Halloween today? So this is something that has really been argued back and forth between, I would say, the fundy world, right? The fundy say, oh, no, stay away from anything, and then there's the more liberal Christian side of views where it's like, no, man, take the day, seize the day. So what's
diem.
I want you to give your perspective. I'll give my perspective, which I think they're going to be two separate perspectives, but we'll kind of both give perspectives, not looking to argue, but just give both perspectives on it.
Yeah. So with Halloween, I feel like there's a difference between those who like to practice, for lack of a better word, the dark arts or the spiritual practices or the more mystical spiritualism that's in there. Like, I know a lot of people who, it's so fascinating how many of these folks who were Christians, were believers, and then more of the spiritual things of the world, which I'm like, where do you think those came from? That's a different conversation. But, I do think that there are some people that do some really bad things at Halloween. Like, for example, we know for a fact that there still is a lot of bad, dark, dirty things that happen on Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, there still is a lot of trances. There's a lot of, the joke of like, sacrificing black cats. Now is it as gruesome as what it used to be, especially back in the Celtic era where they believed this was a day when the dead cross over the world of the living and you got to appease all the different wraths? No, I don't think so. I think some of it has gone more into the fact of people are so curious about the spiritual world because we believe there is a spiritual world, and we believe there are angels and there are demons and there's spiritual warfare and battle and weird things. And I remember inside the Facebook group when we asked the question of, so what should we talk about for Halloween? We got a lot of good ideas for next year, by the way, guys, which I'm really looking forward to.
I kind of tried to tie to everything into this one.
Yeah, it was awesome. But something like even Katie asked was, she goes, so what should we do about Ouija boards? And I'm like, dude, those things scared the bejesus out of me.
Right.
And so there are a lot of things in that world that do scare me. However, I will say in cultural Halloween of what it's come to today, where the kids get to put on some fun outfits. Like, again, we are not about scary outfits. We're not about spooky things. I mean, my son was Darth Vader, so I mean, take it or leave it with that one.
He was a good guy in the end.
It was the only costume that fit him. That was not like $20. It was like $10. So we bought it, and so that's really what it was. But we talked about how Anakin became bad and all those different things. But whatever. But we don't. I don't like it when people dress up in the blood and the gore and the this. And I don't like the haunted horror things. And even like at the zoo where they have like the horror train, I'm like, why are we doing this? That seems a little weird, especially as a Christian who enjoys the horror. Now, I do think it's okay for some people to enjoy the fall and the spooky season of like the bats and the cold and the leaves dying and some of that stuff. But for our family, it's a time where for us, we connect with not so much our neighbors, because we normally go to my mom's neighborhood and trick-or-treat around there because it's off less busy roads and it's just a little bit safer, and the old people give out some real good candy. But for us, it's just a time for us to just dress up in fun Halloween costumes, take it at night as the family. It's a fun activity. The kids get candy. They learn how to walk up and interact with strangers, and so we're trying to teach them how to ask politely and what to say and talk back and say thank you. And it's just a fun time. And then in other years, like one year it rained, so we didn't do trick-or-treating. So last second we were like, what churches are having some sort of Halloween thing? Mm-hmm. And I've seen, we went to about 3 different churches, I feel like, over the last handful of years. And all of these churches, church communication side, I would give it like a C+ because they never really followed back up with us.
It always comes back down to that.
You had my email. You could follow up with me on stuff, and you never did.
Yeah. But they didn't want to be pushy, man.
But it was cool to see these churches just engaging their community with a easy to make bridge, and that's the way I viewed. That's the way we talked about it 5 years ago when I said, modern day Halloween is a bridge to just connect with your community and with your neighbors and things like that. And so for us, I'm a really big believer, and I think this year we might do Halloween at our house. I have to convince my mom of that probably.
Good luck.
Because that's just what we've always done at his mom's house. And last year it was stinking cold in the blizzard.
You're breaking tradition, man.
Yeah, I know. We always went to mom's house for Halloween.
We're gonna oust you from the mom's Catholic church.
To say, even though it's somewhat connected with, I will say yes, Halloween in terms of the spooky part and the weird mysticism and the animals and all these different things, there are pagan connections to that. However, why can't we redeem it and use modern day Halloween as the connection? My kids will never dress up as something that's terrifying or gory or slutty or things like that a lot of people like to do with Halloween. And we ain't doing nothing spooky with like Ouija boards and Chucky dolls and crap like that either. We just try to keep it fun. We keep it innocent, and we let the kids spend 10 minutes to eat as much candy as they possibly can. Which, in case you're wondering, really is not a lot.
No.
Because they end up getting suckers, and that takes 7 minutes, and it's hilarious.
Okay, of course you can have
So that's
those
what we do.
Yeah.
So yes, there is connection to pagans' belief, but we don't do all the pagan rituals. We just see it as it's a fun, modern way to connect with our neighbors, have a good time with the family, and let the kids dress up as princesses and ninjas and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so on the flip side, right, because me and Mark have always viewed this differently, which is totally cool. My family, we don't do it, and the reason why is because every day, like you said, redeem the day. Well, every day is the Lord's day, right? But on this specific day, there is a lot of evil that it is surrounded by the world.
And I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah,
I will not disagree with that.
So I think we both agree on that, right?
Yep.
And we both agree that that is the premise of that day.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
to me, I would say, and for my family, is do I have to participate in order to reach that group? Well, no, I don't have to participate in what they are doing. That's like, for us, that's like saying, oh, I have to go to the bar to witness to the drunks. Well, no, I don't have to. I can witness to the drunks as they're coming out of the bar or any other day of the week. I can even witness to them on that day. I just don't have to go into the bar to do it. I can get them to or from the bar.
But again, I would even say that walking into a bar.
No, but it's an analogy, right? But it's so even like walking into a bar, and though I don't think drinking is sin, I do believe, and we've talked about this, of the appearance of evil, right? If you're going in and everybody that you're with is drunk, more than likely people are going to assume you're drinking to be drunk too, right? And so as for a Christian, we know that's a sin. So there has to be some distinguishing differences, right, between us and the world. We are called to be in the world, but not of the world, right? There's supposed to be a separation. We are supposed to look a little different. And for me and my family, we just go, look, this is a day, this is a celebration that really was made for dressing up, and people celebrated as evil. Really, it didn't get popular here in the States. I believe I read in history until 1950.
It was real recent.
It was 1950 when it got really popular here in the United States. And there's even other countries that don't even celebrate Halloween. So to say it's a worldwide phenomenon, and it is not. It's more of a cultural thing for here in the U.S. Candy, my kids can eat candy any day. My kids can dress up any day. So there's really no draw for that. And if I'm going to teach them for interacting, me personally, I would rather do it for like Christmas caroling or something like that, something that celebrates Jesus and who he is and being able to present the gospel. And that's just the way we are. And I'm not saying this against you or your family. This is just what the convictions are for me and my family. This is why we choose to do what we do. And this is kind of the thought process behind it, is that we would rather choose, if we're going to celebrate a day, to make sure it is surrounded by Jesus Christ, right? We don't celebrate just to celebrate. We celebrate things because of our Lord and Savior, and that's why we celebrate things. And even though October 31st here in the States is Halloween, it's still the Lord's Day, and I would agree with you. We don't have to redeem it because it's already his day. We just have to proclaim it as his day. So that's where I think you lean into more of the redeeming side of that. And I would say, yes, I would agree. But
I would say not even as much anymore. Is it's a fun excuse to have a good time with the kids. Like it's an easy win. And I should say this, for us as a family, as the Hydes, we have so many kids with so many. Like Beth and I were just talking about this on the phone today, which is coming back from Indianapolis. She went to Indy twice this week for Lennox and to visit different specialists. And I'll be going back. And I was just there 2 weeks ago with Ava for Indy. So, but it's the fact of our kids have so much have had so much going against them, and it's hard to have these fun moments with the kids unless it's like a pre-planned thing.
Sure.
And so Halloween is just an easy win where it's like, we're going to have fun. We're going to do this together. It's going to be a great time. We're going to learn how to, we're just going to enjoy it.
But I see the Hyde family have a lot more fun in other things too, like the zoo
absolutely.
trips and all this
we
other
just do
stuff.
a lot.
I mean, you guys have so many pictures of so many fun family outings. To say that, hey, our fun family preset date is this. Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's the preset.
It
It's
might
just
be
one of them.
easier,
Just fun.
but you guys do so much cool stuff as a core family unit together. It's awesome to see.
Right.
So, but for us, that's just where we are. Of listen, we're not gonna. I don't want to celebrate things that are more geared towards, by the world standards, towards the evil things. This is one of the Halloween movies. I mean, everybody knows that that's what it's geared towards. And if you're a church or if you're a Christian, you're like, we're gonna redeem the day. Then be intentional about it, right? Or take the stance like you're saying, look, it's just a fun day for us. Okay, I can respect that as a fun day.
And I will say, we do avoid certain things.
Sure.
Because, again, for us to go knocking on a door and saying trick or treat and meeting people and
Sure.
getting candy, I would say there's so much innocent in there. However, I'll just say it, you ain't going to be seeing me at Halloween parties.
Sure.
Like where people just go have a good time or a spooky time.
And to me,
and I don't decorate the house for Halloween. I don't do the things. Like you'll see pumpkins because it's fall.
well, we do pumpkins too, but I mean,
We do mums.
we don't carve pumpkins. We let the kids.
I love carving pumpkins and painting pumpkins.
We let
and
the
all
kids
that.
paint
It's fun.
pumpkins because they want to, but it means nothing to us, and we don't put them out until after Halloween, anyways, because we don't want to partake in that. But we do mums and stuff like that because it's fall.
You know why we do mums at our house?
Because they're pretty.
Nope.
Oh.
I only do yellow mums because of Notre Dame football.
Oh, there you go. But, all I'm saying is the intentionality. It comes back to the heart. If you say you're going to redeem the day for Christ and it's the way of gospel, then make sure it's that and not just an excuse for you to feel better about what you're doing.
Okay.
And that's where I'm at. Like, if you're going to say, I'm redeeming it, make sure that's your heart's desire and go with the gospel. Or just be honest and say, no, I want to have a fun day.
That's it.
I can
we have a fun day.
respect the honesty out of that. So
Now, I am planning on, since the kids are getting older, let's lean into the Protestant Reformation.
Sure.
Let's read more about it. Let's learn about, this day has had a significant impact in the lives of our family and our
Right.
church because of this. Now, sure, bring that into the conversation, but for us, it literally is just a fun day.
Well, and that's what
That's
what
what
the
us.
Sochets do, right? Brandon and his wife Marianne and their kids, they celebrate Reformation Day on that day. They don't do Halloween. They celebrate Reformation. Like, they go all out celebrating Reformation Day. That's what they do, and that's great. I'm all for that. Again, I'm all for some honesty. I may not agree in my personal life with the Halloween, but I love the honesty of saying, look, it's just a fun day. We're not going out there to witness gospel. I'm not using that as an excuse. We're just out there because the Hydes want to go have a fun day. I respect that. What I don't respect is somebody going, well, it's a gospel tool, and that's why we go to do it, and it's not. It's just an excuse. I lose respect for people that say that. I'd rather have the honesty.
So let me ask you this then: let's say there's a church, right? Like I always wanted Southside to do it because we're in a really high area, and I know a lot of other churches who open their doors so the community can walk through the building. They can vote on different whoever. There's one church where they actually had different setups throughout the gym. So one was Lord of the Rings, one was Mary Poppins,
Sure.
one was. I don't know. They had different scenes, and the families all dressed up, and we had to vote on it. We had to write our name and emails down. And man, that church dropped the ball on following up with communication. I got one email or a letter, and that was it. Like, dude, you have my email. Blow me up. That's what you're supposed to do. But is there a time and a place for the church to be like, look, the entire community around us is already out. They're looking for something fun to do. Let's provide a fun, safe alternative. Not it not be a explicit gospel thing, although you can give out information on your church and give out tracts. You could do all those different things. But is that a time where a church can say, hey, we're just going to have a really fun way to try to connect with people in our community, start some fun conversations, and maybe those can lean into the bigger ones?
Sure.
But the ultimate goal is just for the church or just for the community to say, yes, we are a part of what our community is and what our community is doing.
I'm okay with it, but I would say pick a different day. Why does it have to be the 31st?
Because people are already out. That's why.
But if people are already out, they're not going to be looking to go to a church. They're going to look to be. So to me, it's contradictory. So you're going to try to draw them in. You're not going to look. If there's one thing I learned when you do it, take this, right?
Yep.
The music festival at Southside. Every year they've competed.
Same weekend as Renaissance
It's
Fest,
the same week, and we have nobody show up from the community.
Because you're going to lose.
Because everybody goes to Renaissance Fair. And it's like, why are we doing this on this day? Let's pick a different weekend that doesn't compete with anything else in the community. Rather than trying to split the community, let's support the community by not doing that.
Right.
And so there's so many other things going on that day. That's great. If you want to do a safe alternative, say, hey, listen, this is on Thursday this year. On Saturday, we're going to have a judge the scenery competition that you can come in and we'll have some candy for the kids to grab from the bowl. You guys come, vote on your scenery. We'll give you kind of let you know who we are. And that's it, right? So I'm okay with that. But in the right context.
Right. And this church probably blew up because it was raining. Like, let's just be honest. But they were also in a community in Elkhart. So it wasn't just like Southside where we're on. Like Southside. So what I'm referencing our churches because like Southside Baptist Church where Fuller's at, it like straddles like 6 different communities.
Right.
Like on each corner. And all those communities normally like stay inside their community and they don't
100%
come in. And then New Life, we're not really touching a community.
You guys are like on the main drag.
Yeah, we on the drag. And then the communities, you have to go to all these other places because Osceola has a lot of towns, but it's on the other side of the river.
Yep.
And so New Life does do like a fall festival thing. It's super low key, but it's normally not on Halloween. It's normally whatever that weekend is.
And that's what I'm great with, right? Something like that to promote, hey,
it's
come
like
to
a
community.
hayride, kids wear your costumes, have a good time.
We're not trying to compete with what you got going on, but we want to let you know that we love you, community, and we're willing to have you here and do a fall celebration with us. Yep. I'm good with that. I'm totally on.
Now, okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. Sure. I know go back and listen to the episode with Pastor Brando. We gotta get Brando back on the show.
Yeah, we do.
But some of the big for me was when I was reading about All Saints Day. I actually think is really cool to remember because, we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, 2,000 years of church history we're hanging out with. It's a good time. Yes, let's remember those saints who went before us in the same way that I think we should honor those to whom honor should be given. However, with this idea of All Souls Day, my question is when was it started? And then who started it? And then why did this become a doctrine? And this kind of goes back to, again, this will go back to the Sola Scriptura episode that we had last week of where is the authority and where does the authority lie? Because it's one thing to say, yes, we remember in memory of our ancestors who died, but we see in Leviticus with who it's the argument that people make for those against tattoos of you're not supposed to do something to like the Mog and I think it's Mog and Magog maybe about you're not supposed to have tattoos on your body to honor and worship the dead. So where's the fine line? So okay, 11th century. So 1200 AD.
Yep.
So we're talking 1200 years after Jesus died.
Yeah. So if you look at it from when it was
1,000 years afterwards,
when it was officially church-wide observance was 837. Mm-hmm. So we're talking 400 years after that, 370 or 63 years after that, somewhere around there. And then after that, you got another 400 years that happens with the Reformation Day, basically, as if you're looking at it. But it was done the day was established by Abbot Odilo, who was the Benedict Abbot of Cluny for 54 years until his death in 1048. So
is All Saints Day celebrated widely by the Catholic Church, or just some Catholics, or is it just kind of now part of just the feast of the hangout?
I thought it was pretty well Catholic or Roman Catholicly celebrated.
It would have shocked me because with the indulgences and selling the indulgences, there was a ways to raise money for the Crusades, and every time a dollar clinked into the bottom of the bag, another soul escapes purgatory, and the Catholic Church was using and abusing indulgences like nobody's business,
right?
During that time, and so therefore there had to be some widely accepted thing where my loved one's soul is stuck in the middle between heaven and earth, and we want to help to get them there. It's a valid plea. It's a valid cry if it's actually true. And that's where we come in with where's the authority in the scripture to say that there even is a purgatory to do all these different things. And so for me as a Christian, I would say, it's one thing like Reformation Day is really, really cool. All Hallowed Eve, All Saints, you remember the saints who came before? Dude, I can get behind that. I can't get behind All Souls Day though. Like the Day of the Dead, which I know is huge, like down in Mexican cultures, like the movie Coco. And movie Coco, I don't know if is that actually true. Like the dead would cross over the bridge and see their loved ones if they were on the main. So I don't know if that's actually I mean,
it's similar.
Disney stays pretty tight sometimes in those folklore.
Here's what it says with the All Saints Day. From November 2nd, became a day more focused on the dead, hence called All Souls Day. All over Europe and South America, these 2 days are celebrated with visits to cemeteries and by special commemorations in church to remember the day or the dead. So I know that in some traditions, people go to the graves. This is what I kind of read through some other articles, but they go to the graves and they eat the favorite foods of their past loved ones in honor, in memory of them, but also do a lot of praying and almsgiving for the purgatory purpose. It is celebrated a lot by Western Roman Catholic churches, and it's usually, they said, before Lent is when they celebrate it now.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And so here is a question then. And maybe, I know we don't have a lot of time to go into this, but with how we remember the dead. So if we're leaning into, we talk about Halloween, we talked about, the All Saints Day and All Souls Day. But so how should Christians honor and respect the dead? Because you hear a lot of times people where it's like, oh, I know they're looking down to heaven, and looking down from heaven, they're proud of me. Or we visit the gravesite of my grandmother, my father, my mother, on their birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Just remember their legacy. So how should Christians handle that, remembering the legacy, but also not getting too absorbed with it?
So, there was Ron Rhodes put it a good way in that book, Apologetics, that we were going through as a small group, which we just finished this last Tuesday. And he said, listen, when I'm in heaven, or when a saint is in heaven, he goes, what happens in heaven? Like, what's the main thing? Christ will wipe away all the tears, right? There will be no sadness. There'll be no sin when you're with the Lord, right? When we're with the Lord. So if I'm a saint in heaven, wouldn't it create sadness if I looked down upon those here on earth, or focused anything on earth? Wouldn't that create sadness?
And that's hard, because that's logical, but it's also hard because it's like the scripture doesn't really say much about.
Well, that's the thing, right? It doesn't say yes, it does, or no, they don't. It doesn't say they look down upon us. It doesn't say any of that. But the thought process, I had never thought of it that way. It would make me sad if I looked down on my children. If I had died and my children weren't saved, it would make me sad to see my kids not saved.
And I feel like that patches with Jason will wipe away all tears. Isn't that about the new heaven and new earth anyways?
It is, but being in the presence of God, right? God cannot be in the presence of sin. Where did sadness come from?
Sin and death.
Sin
that brought death.
Right,
yes.
Exactly. So that's where you don't see Christ or God, even God in the beginning in Genesis, talking about being sad or being what's the word that he used in Genesis? Regretful, but it wasn't really regretful. It was a different word for it, for making creation, until post the sin, post the disobedience, and the separation between him and mankind. So it would lead me to believe in his presence, since he cannot be around sin, and not that it would be creating sin, because we even see the saints in Revelations crying out to God, saying, how long until you will avenge us? Which I think that has something to play into the emotional side of things. But to at least look at, like, for me, I would be sad to look upon my family, and it would create a mournful sorrow for me of them not following it, and me longing for them to follow it, and me focused more on what's going on here on earth, rather than focusing on what I think we will be, of praising and worshiping God day and night.
Yep.
That's what I think we will be doing.
And honestly, I don't know. I just don't know.
So that's just my thought process behind it. And so, we did an episode on should we pray to Mary and the saints. I would encourage you guys.
3 episodes or something like that.
2.
It was a 2-part. Yeah, 2-part.
But I would encourage you guys to go back and listen to that episode. I'll tag it in the show notes here so we have it to go back to. But in short, I would say no. Christ is the one that we should pray to. We don't pray to the saints. Again, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, I think, talking about Sola Scriptura in the next episode, about the purgatory and kind of what caused the 95 Thesis and the whole Reformation movement to start, the whole split between the Roman Catholic Church and Protestantism, and that schism that happened. Because of some of these errors, and because of some of the errors that Martin Luther, a renowned theologian in the Catholic Church, saw that the Catholic Church had going on. And so, to me, I would think that purgatory, I don't see it in Scripture. I don't believe that there is a purgatory. Therefore, I don't believe in the almsgiving. I don't believe in any of that.
Purgatory isn't... Now, there are some people who believe, like, in Abraham's bosom... There are, and some people believe, we're still there. Like, people could still there and wait for Jesus to come back and open the Lamb's Book of Life, and then the new heaven, the new earth. There are some people who believe in soul sleep, where basically we don't know. It's just kind of like you fall asleep and then you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, here we go. Like,
and so to me, I think
there's people who believe that, like what you said,
I think more along the lines of, and you and I have talked about this, it says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Well, we know we exist inside of time.
Right, and Paul said, I would rather be with the Lord
Right.
Then with all you fools, but God says better for me to be here with you.
But we
guys.
exist in time because we are here outside of not being with God, but God exists outside of time, working within time. So if we're with God, we're outside of time, we're already at the end. So to me, that's kind of where I don't believe in a soul sleep. This is my personal belief based upon what I see in Scripture. Not that I'm saying this is gospel truth and you got to believe it. I would not die on this hill, is what I'm saying.
But and that's where we go back to what is the ultimate authority. And I think that's where, we have to be careful with this conversation. I'll end all my thoughts with this, is the fact of, with Halloween and with All Saints Day, it's the fact of, if someone says, no, biblically, if you are a good Christian or to be a Christian, you cannot celebrate this and you have to celebrate this. We're like, yeah, I ain't subscribing to that, boss. Now, the question is, do we use wisdom? Do we use tact? And then still showing love and grace in those things and let each man be fully convinced in his own mind.
And I think that's what it comes down to.
And I have no problem with church, with folks who are like, we only dress as Bible characters. Cool. I know families who did that. I know families who, like you guys, were like, yo, we just hang out, have a good time as a family, go to Fazoli's. Like, dope. That's cool. Families like me where it's like, yo, we just going to get some candy and pound it. Like, that's what we do. And then people like Soche where it's like, nope, we're not doing any of those traditions. We're using this to focus on what God did through his church throughout all these different years. And like, that's really cool too.
And I would encourage everybody to search the Scriptures for themselves and find what the Holy Spirit is saying to themselves, find their own personal conviction on this, whether they're not convicted at all like you, or whether they're semi-convicted like Soche, or whether they're severely convicted like me. And, there's kind of that wide variety of
I just want to make sure, and I want to challenge people with this. I know there's a lot of people who just naturally love spooky season. People just love spooky season. And, if people want to decorate with like, oh, it's the cobwebs and the bats because it's like fall and that's when all this stuff happens and it's the fall harvest and all these things are happening. Just be convinced in your mind of, if you're like, okay, is this good or is this bad, or have we gone too far a little bit? And
to lean into that too, I would say check your motive.
Yeah.
Right? Look at your motive of why you were celebrating what you're celebrating. And that goes for everything from Easter to Christmas to Memorial Day here in the States, Independence Day here in the States, to Halloween, to Thanksgiving. Anything that you celebrate, what is your motive?
Irish Day's tomorrow.
What is your motive for celebrating what you are celebrating? Is it to bring glory and honor to God? Is it for personal gain? Is it to have fun or to draw closer with your family core unit? Or is it to be just kind of risque and do whatever you want to do? Like, I would ask you to self-examine yourself in those aspects.
Time for Fun Facts with Filler.
I love that laugh every time I hear it, boss. Well,
I've got a lot.
Holy cow.
No, so it's like almost a whole half episode in itself. So I'm gonna power through these real fast.
You're going to power through these real quick.
Power through these real fast.
Do our spooky music. Is it too late to put our spooky music back on? All right, put spooky music back on.
It's on there. So, facts and tradition from the Library of Congress. That's Congress here in the United States. Carving jack-o'-lanterns. The tradition of carving jack-o'-lanterns originated in Ireland using turnips instead of pumpkins. It is allegedly based on a legend about a man named Stingy Jack who repeatedly trapped the devil and only let him go on the condition that Jack would never go to hell. But when Jack died, he learned that heaven did not want his soul either. So he was forced to wander the earth as a ghost for eternity. The devil gave Jack a burning lump of coal and a carved-out turnip to light his way. Locals eventually began carving scary faces in their own turnips to frighten away evil spirits. Seeing ghosts.
So funny.
The festival of, what was it again? Samhain. Marked the transition to the new year at the end of the harvest and beginning of the winter. Celtic people believe that during the festival, spirits walked the earth. Later on, Christian missionaries introduced All Souls Day on November 2nd, which perpetuated the idea of the living coming into contact with the dead around the same time of the year.
So like with Mexican culture of Day of the Dead.
Right, exactly. Gotcha. So wearing scary costumes in order to avoid being terrorized by all the evil spirits walking the earth during Samhain. The Celts donned disguises in order to confuse the spirits and be left alone.
Leave us alone.
Trick-or-treating. There is much debate around the origins of trick-or-treating, but generally there are three theories. The first theory suggests that during Samhain, Celtic people would leave food out to appease the spirits traveling the earth at night. Over time, people began to dress as these unearthly beings in exchange for similar offerings of food and drink. The second theory speculates that candy boon stems From the Scottish practice of guising, this is a secular version of souling. During the Middle Ages, generally children and poor adults would collect food and money from local homes in return for prayers for the dead on All Souls Day. Geisers dropped the prayers in favor of non-religious practices with the inclusion of songs, jokes, and other tricks. And the third theory argues that the modern American trick-or-treating stems from Belsnickeling, a German-American Christmas tradition where children would dress in costumes and then call on their neighbors to see if the adults could guess the identities of the disguise. In one version of the practice, the children were rewarded with food or other treats if no one could identify them.
That's freaking brilliant. That is hilarious.
The other one is black
awesome.
cats. The idea of being spooked by black cats dates back to the Middle Ages, when these dark felines were considered a symbol of the devil. It didn't help that centuries later, accused witches were often found to have cats, particularly black ones.
I mean, cats are of the devil. We know that.
People began to believe that the cats were a witch's familiar, supernatural entities that would assist in their practices of dark magic, and black cats and spookiness have been linked ever since. And there's so many...
Like Sabrina the Teenage Witch and her black cat, 100%.
Right? So there's so many more to go through.
That's
I will
hilarious.
put the Library of Congress tab in the show notes that you can go and check them all out.
That is absolutely hilarious. Well, guys, we are going to end this episode on that note. So like always, go to the website. We have all the other Halloween episodes for you to check out, plus over 200 more episodes.
That's right.
Go to the website, realtalkchristopodcast.com, hit that search bar and search any episode in our library and listen to it right there on the website.
And if you haven't already, go over to our YouTube page, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That didn't really sound that
That's
good.
all right. That's
but
all right.
So when we're on, you are aware.
And just like always, leave us a rating and review anywhere you listen to podcasts, and join us over in our Facebook group, RTC Online Community, where we can continue to have conversations such as this one about Halloween, All Souls Day, and so much more.
That's right.
But we love you guys. We hope you guys have am I allowed to say Happy Halloween? Can
Sure.
I say, hope you guys have a Happy Halloween, or...
Until next time.
Oh, I was going to say Happy Fazoli's Day or something. I don't know.
Sure.
What do you say? You don't say Happy Halloween. What do you say?
Happy 31st day.
There you go. Or Happy Reformation Day. How about that, guys? So, until next time.
Take it easy.